Hello, welcome to GPTV on Tuesday the 28th of February. My name is Philip Kingston.
And I'm Gary Peer.
And we're coming at you this week, not from on the couch, but at the dining table at the most beautiful home, 25 AROONA Road, Gary, in the heart of Caulfield North, where we're filming today because we thought we'd take it on location yet again. And it's great to see that the owners have turned on somewhat of a little morning tea for us. And if there's any prospective vendors or any current vendors that are watching, it would be really lovely if there's an afternoon tea or a morning tea put on for your real estate agent when we do drop over.
Nothing wrong with dinner either, Philip, and certainly this has to be the new benchmark. So welcome to 25 AROONA Road. What a beautiful home this is. Absolutely one of my favourite properties, and the street is magnificent, right in the heart of the Golden Mile.
Doesn't get any better than this, Gary, and certainly we've just finished a very busy weekend where we had over 30 groups come through this house. So we're looking to make a bit of an impact in the market, Gary, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But let's just now review the weekend that was, because this, Gary, was the benchmark weekend for Melbourne real estate.
It was showtime, Phil, and it was all happening. We had 22 auctions in 11 suburbs, and it was damn hot. And the market was pretty hot as well, really. There were lots of buyers around, and while the clearance rates weren't high, the activity was high. There was a lot of people out there looking to buy, and of our 22 auctions, there were buyers at 18 of them, so that was a pretty strong outcome.
Big result, Gary, and I don't mind saying that you're sitting beside Mr. 100%, and I don't mind talking myself up, but
you certainly don't.
I did 6 auctions on the weekend, 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and I'm now really sitting here with 100% success rate, Gary. Not quite sure how you did this weekend, but all of my 6 vendors are sold stickers on the board, and some remarkable bidding, I've got to tell you.
Yeah, it was the weekend where there were people really hotly competing for some properties. Not all of them were hot. The weather was really hot, and I keep going back to that because running around, how many shirts did you go through?
I went through 3 shirts on the weekend, Gary.
Through a few. It was very, very warm. We kicked things off on Saturday with a great auction that was filmed. The cameras are out, and that was one that Jeremy Rosens did in Hewenden Road. The reserve on that one, Philip, $480,000, and sold for $526. 4 bidders, competitive auction. And then I think on Saturday you were out in Brighton with David Cutler doing a deal there.
I was, Gary, and I've got to tell you, if there was a theme from this weekend, it's not just the good attendance and auction results right across Melbourne. The theme is the multiple bidders at every auction, and we had a tremendous auction in EBDEN Street in the heart of Brighton. Lovely period home, which I think we reviewed a couple of weeks ago on GPTV, but we had 5 people bidding for that property, sold it significantly over the reserve, so whilst the price is undisclosed, just great to kick off the weekend with a really competitive auction.
Yeah, there weren't competitive bidders everywhere. Let's be open about that. You know, some of the ones that
there were the ones that I were doing. Gary.
Yeah, right.
Perhaps it's my charisma, or maybe it's just you do need to concentrate a little bit more on the work that is in hand, Gary.
Let's move on to the next auction, ladies and gentlemen. Talk a little bit about that one. That was in Murray Street on Sunday morning. That was probably our most competitive auction, which I was lucky enough to be the auctioneer for. That one sold really well. We had 6 buyers for that one. The reserve was $1,100,000, and it sold for $1,260,000, and that was a really great result. And we're seeing that sort of price range around that 1 to 1.5 has come to life again. It was a bit tough last year, but that 1 to 1.5 range, very, very strong on the weekend. The other big auction that I'll throw over to you in a second, Phil, which we've featured a little bit on GPTV, was the property in Lansdowne Road. A great address, a lovely home. We talked about it a little bit, featured it, and lo and behold, it was probably one of our auctions of the week, if not it.
It was fantastic, Gary, and I've got to tell you, to arrive there at 3:30 on Sunday afternoon, temperature was about 35 degrees. We're all baking in the front garden. Thankfully, it's a lovely front garden that was well shaded, but certainly big crowd, big expectations. Reserved there, Gary, I believe around $1,300,000.
Yep.
On the market and sold for $1,460,000, which is just a sensational result, but most importantly, the depth of bidding, the intensity of bidding from 4 parties was just fantastic.
And we really had to be on the job there the right way, because the vendor was actually a former estate agent himself, so certainly we were really put to the acid test of how we had to perform to our best. And the buyer, Frank Valenti, bought it on behalf of the client. Frank, well known for being on the block, made a lot of noise on the block for the last series, so that was also great to see. Looking forward to what's happening, a number of new properties starting up this weekend, which is exciting, but one auction this week that we are expecting some great interest is in ESKDALE Road. Terrific address.
Yeah, that is a great address, Gary, and it's a lovely, lovely family home. So we look forward to seeing what sort of result we have there. So ESKDALE Road goes under the hammer, Gary, Sunday at 1:30.
Yes, and I think you're doing that auction, so you better keep your rate up that you're so boastful about, Philip,
yes,
and get a good one out there.
I'll have an early night Saturday night,
Please
Gary.
do.
I think if there's one thing, though, that we do really need to talk about, that this was the big weekend in Melbourne. There were a lot of auctions in Melbourne, and certainly the whole industry and the buyers were all looking to see what happened. I think Melbourne has come through brilliantly well, with a clearance rate across Melbourne of approximately 62%, which when you think about the last quarter of last year, when we think about the October, November, December quarter, the industry clearance was hovering between 50 and 55%, so a jump to 62%. I think buyers, the message for you has got to be the market has probably found its bottom,
level, yeah.
and I think this is going to be the year that buyers will look back and say they should have bought. But certainly lots of activity on the weekend, and certainly we hope that sets the theme going forward.
And most importantly, 4, 5, 6 bidders at auctions. We did not see that last year at all. Well, certainly not in the later half, hardly anywhere. So we've had a number of auctions where we've seen that, which is a very, very interesting and compelling sign of where the market's at, Philip.
Competitive bidding is back, Gary. Well, I must say I've enjoyed the morning tea here, Gary. It's been great being on location at number 25 AROONA Road. We look forward to seeing you all again next Tuesday. On behalf of Gary Peer and Associates, I'm Philip Kingston. Thank you for watching.
And I'm Gary Peer. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.